At least if we stand out here long enough, maybe more people won't show up. Because it looks like there's a lot.
Hello, everybody. Hey, Somerville. Can I get on the list?
It's a 2-hour wait. I'm like, dude, you might have to come up with a show there. You might have to be like pouring people from Goody Boy as the green.
At 17.
How many slots are you like? Let me see.
Why do I... Surly girl?
Why does anybody come to the Surly Girl? To tell jokes. Come to the Surly Girl to tell jokes.
I came to this open mic because Sean was running the St. James open mic, and that was the best open mic, and it got shut down, so he started this one. So I came the first week to support him because I love doing comedy, and I hated it.
How are you?
Check. Last Surly Girl show. Last Surly Girl show.
Because I think it is because the comics support it. The comics support it because they know that, this is where your jokes are made. You know what I mean? This is where a joke lives or dies. The room is so small.
The room is honest. It's so small and so intimate. If a joke is going to work here, then it'll work anywhere.
It's definitely got the most loyal base of comedians. There are some comedians that will just be at Surly every week. You know that if they're going to hit up one open mic a week, it's Surly.
And there seems to be almost no promotion for it at all. Like, it's all just word of mouth. But this is like when new comics come to town and they meet a new comic and they say, where's the best place to go? Everybody says Surly Girl first.
Because it's amazing. The atmosphere, it's the most intimate mic I've ever been to. Like, intimate show, I don't say mic, it's a show. I don't want to call it a mic, it's a show.
I come to the Surly Girl because it was the premier open mic in Columbus, but we now put it to bed.
Because I love the Surly Girl and it's fucking amazing.
It was the premier open mic to go to. It was the open mic where you knew you were going to have an audience. They wouldn't be placating.
The crowd for Surly is there to hear comedy. It's not a fucking ambushed crowd.
I've been coming to the Surly Girl open mic for a long time now. I started coming because my sister's a stand-up.
Started coming to this mic because I just recently was allowed to. It's a 21 and over bar, and I just turned 21 like 3 weeks ago.
But now I come because it's really nice to have somewhere that like on a Wednesday, because it's a Wednesday, that you can go and have a laugh. And over the years, some of my best friends are here, and it's nice to know where your people are going to be.
It's the first place that I told jokes, man, and I kind of bombed.
Just being here around everybody on Wednesday nights is, whether it was late night, closing it at 2:30 with friends, or early, and I have to get home to the wife and kids and get up early for a job. I mean, it's been everything.
It was actually my first open mic. The first time I got on stage doing stand-up, it was about two and a half years ago. Bombed super hard. I think I had like a joke. I wanted to be Louis C.K. because I was like kind of the only comedian I'd ever watched up until that point.
It's a nice balance of Columbus comedy. Like, for the crowds that come here, they're sort of like, prove you're funny. So they come here and they get proved that we're funny. So.
It felt like a homecoming when I came here.
Man, it's about the interaction. There's a lot of clubs, there's a lot of cliques, and not everybody interacts. Right here, it's all close, and you have nothing but to be interactive with anybody that you're standing next to with 5 other people on top of them.
It got you through, it kept you going. Surly Girl was the thing that kept you motivated, kept you wanting to keep pursuing it.
Surly Girl is the only open mic I know that if your joke does not work, you don't take it onto a big stage. They're always so honest.
As soon as I walked in, it was like all the same Misfit toys.
A lot of good conversations in this hallway.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big part of my life.
Classic.
I think this place is unique, and I wouldn't have tried to stand up anywhere else. I mean, I wasn't going to bring 5 people to see me for the first time because that's too scary. And this place just let you get on stage, no matter what your abilities were or who you could bring out with you.
Life sucks. Like, actual, you know, before I did stand-up, I was working at Red Lobster, and I fucking hated Red Lobster, and I hated it more when I started doing stand-up at Surly Girl, because it was like, I gotta be here instead of being at Surly Girl.
Always been kind of intimidating to perform on this stage, but I always have felt welcome and loved.
I started coming to Surly Girl, frankly, because it was one of the only open mics at the time. But this is a place that makes you earn it.
It's a combination of the support of the staff gave towards it. I actually worked here for a little bit too, and I know that they loved working this night. They supported it. The fact that there was a separate room devoted basically to comedy seemed like it was used more for that than anything else.
Well, I think part of it is because it was the first one I ever came to, but I like the setup. I like that it's back there, and so the bar patrons aren't nearby, but also, since it was the first one I came to, I don't know, this is where like everybody that I know now, I talk to them at Surly for the first time, so
It was made huge by the people that kept showing up. It's unlike any open mic anywhere else because of that community.
I moved back to Columbus 3 years ago, and my best friend from college, Lisa Berry, was one of the only people I knew still in town. And so I said, Lisa, you've got to help me. I want to meet people and get out. She invited me to come to Surly, and now all of these people are my Columbus family.
That's where I started. And I bombed in New York, and when I moved to Ohio, I just Googled open mic and found this place, and I think I just come here. I come here for the 5 minutes, right? But you don't. You come here for the people that are doing the 5 minutes, and like none of the comedians really watch the other comedians, right? Because we're too busy laughing in the hallway, and I think that's what makes this place so great. First of all, that we're allowed to do that. And second of all, that it is implicitly encouraged.
Because I love nothing better than to tell jokes in a tiny little annex room in the back of a restaurant and drink PBR for $2.
I did the math today, and Sean Somerville has hosted over 450 open mic nights, which has to make him some sort of patron saint of stand-up. And by my recollection, or by my count, it means that he's probably seen more shitty comedy than anyone in the United States.
1,500 slots a year, 15,000 slots over the course of a lifetime, and most of them aren't taken up by Danny Stratton. So
even the nights that you don't feel like you have anything to offer, Surly Girl has something to offer you. So you should just show up and take what it has.
Remember when that comedian made the new comedian kiss that old lady in the crowd?
There is this one audience member, her name's Faye, and she is the most ridiculous audience member I've ever encountered. And at one point, Bergstrom was going on his most famous rants at the end of the night, closing out the show, 2 o'clock in the morning. And he sits there, he sees this new guy who's a bro, that's the best way I can put it, sitting there, Faye interrupting his set, just the way she normally does. And so he, at one point, decides to have both of them kiss. And so the audience cheers them on, they go and kiss. And the thing is at this point, I did not know who Matt Capacci was. He comes back 3 or 4 months later, and he starts talking to the comics, starts performing. And we bring up this story of Faye kissing another audience member, and he goes, "Oh yeah, by the way, that's me."
It was the most perfect thing. That's the memory I take away from Surly Girl.
It's funny that Tom Plute just came up and hugged me. I was actually running the open mic on Tom Plute's first set, and here, Sean couldn't do it for whatever reason, and it's a pain in the ass getting everything set up. And I've been doing comedy long enough to where I'd seen a ton of people come and sign up for a set and then that be it for the night. So I don't really care about you if you're just coming for the first time. And so he comes up to me as I'm putting everything together, and he's just looking for some sort of like warmth and acceptance, and he's just like, "Yeah, this is my first time. I'm really nervous about doing this tonight. I hope it goes well." And I realized he's talking to me, and I just sort of look at him and said, I don't care. And now he's hugging me years later.
My biggest regret, but also milestone, was we were doing a web series for FabVision, and Sean let us come on and do a segment here during open mic, and we pissed off every single comedian that was there.
I'm more of a hyper-energetic comedian, you know what I mean? But when I came to Surly, it was like, no, you know what I mean? It has to be on your words, you know what I mean? So, I mean, I was used to getting laughs and laughs just based on my energy. I came to Surly and was lightweight shut down. Like, we can do without the energy. Just give me the words, you know what I mean? So it was a really shock to it was a big shock to my system.
The first time I did my set, it was all straight jokes. And I was talking about like blowing dudes. It was like so uncomfortable because I kept fucking up my pronouns. So I'd be like, oh, I was blowing this dude, and she was like everyone was really uncomfortable with that whole concept. And after my 5, Aaron McIntyre came up to me and was like, hey, you're really funny, but like we all know.
Well, I think Surly was one of those places, it was where I came out as transgender. It was the first time on stage that I talked about it.
I've cried here more than I've ever cried anywhere.
My birthday was pretty great.
First couple times I came here, I bombed hard. I definitely got some thick skin from bombing here.
The time I got banned for telling the bartender that he had sandwich vagina, I got banned for like 18 months for that. So that was rough. I'll keep that with me.
Back when Dirty Franks had a comedy night, Dan Swartout and I put together a list of 15 steps to comedy gold, and it was all the worst things you can do on stage. It was an ironic list. And then we came here one night, and they were playing some kind of game where you had to like come up with a tagline that you would use throughout your set. And somebody who went on right before me used the tagline that I was going to use, and so I had to go on stage, and I was drunk, and I'm never drunk doing comedy. And so instead, I went up there and I did the list.
This is the right one this week.
And somebody in the back like whispered something. I was like, I feel like she's going for the easy laughs. And Dan Swartout was just losing his mind.
If I've enjoyed anything at all, it's bombing with Mike Kolar back to back.
This is where I asked Laura Sanders to be in the first sketch I ever wrote, and we now are in a sketch duo, so that I remember that really well.
My favorite Surly stories are when comedians bring significant others, because the tension of revealing yourself as this horrible ghoul that is a comedian is one of the most enjoyable things to see from the outside perspective. So when someone brings a date and they're like, they've never seen me do comedy before, I have to reveal myself as a goblin.
Second to None has the best homeless interaction right outside the bar of any bar I've been to.
This is like the date spot.
This one time I was out front and a car drove up, and there was a woman in the passenger seat who was probably about 45 or something. And I look over and she goes, hey. I go, yeah? And then she pulled her shirt down.
Like, let me bring you to the fancy ball that is Surly Girl.
Some girl showed me her breast at Surly Girl. It's probably the first time I've seen a breast with a tattoo on it. It was right here in Surly Girl.
The intimacy.
I always loved how the light was always close and made me feel like a police lineup.
The piggyback hosting style was one of the random times that like I, as somebody that doesn't host a show, got an opportunity to bring someone on stage, so that'll be missed as well, because I not really any open mics in Columbus did aside from Surly.
I think has lasted as long as it has because the room isn't very big, so you don't need very many people to make it great. And it starts at the top, of course, as everybody will say. You know, Sean has run a great mic for 10 years. Just love coming here, the staff, the food, everybody's so great. And it's sad that it's leaving, but, you know, it's just, like I said on stage tonight, it's just the bones that are going away, not the soul. We will keep going.
It's like one of those things, like, you know how you look at your parents as like a beacon of like, so you know the direction your life is headed, and you look back at your parents and like, all right, well, that's my waypoint.
The reason Surly Girl was so important was that I could go up there, I could tell jokes, or I can go up there and it just be like people who I knew in the room, and I could just talk about shit and vent.
I think that Sean Somerville runs the show tightly the way it should be. The show starts on time. The cutoff is honored. If you don't make the list, you don't make the list. He enforces the light when he has to, and he's like, this room is him. It's very much him.
Sean ran that open mic as if it was a booked show at a club in a major market. He made you show up on time. He gave you a hard time if you didn't try your best, or if you did something unprofessional, like if you scratched from the list when you shouldn't have. He'll go, "Don't ever do that at my show again." Like, he would treat it that way.
The fact that the host cares.
Sean Somerville is why. Because there's no other person in this world with the patience and the nurturing aspects, but still the professionalism of get the fuck off my stage. It's time to have the next person come on.
Sean, anyone who has the dedication to show up. He showed up like 2 days after his first son was born, and was like, "I'm ready. Give me some whiskey. Let's run a mic."
You know, it's tough when he's got to be, but he's the nicest guy in the world. So, a particularly gifted person at hosting open mic.
Like, you knew that you had family in the room, and that shit was important. It was important to me, like the feeling of that love.
He does the fist bump, and as soon as you get off stage, if you have a good set, he gives you that fist bump, and I'm really fucking gonna miss that.
It will be missed.
So if I didn't have this space, I would probably still be doing 5 minutes and bombing in New York and pretending that I was straight.
I'm gonna miss it. I'm not gonna miss this crowdedness, but the way it usually is, I'm gonna miss it.
It's been around long enough in a world where things aren't around that long that it was so surprising, because it's something people thought would always be here.
Especially because we found out so last minute that it was going to be gone. Was like, oh, I thought that would be the one I could always go to, and we can't anymore. And so it's like this outpouring of like, I mean, I'm not going to say it's like a parent dying or whatever.
It feels weirdly like a funeral.
This is like a very good friend dying.
Thanks to Sean for running such a great show for all these years, and thanks to all the comics and all the folks that came out tonight and every night. And Viva Surly, I guess.
You know, where people that have moved on to bigger cities to do comedy, that used to not happen before Surly Girl. Now you got people doing comedy in Chicago and New York that are heartbroken they can't come back to their old spot and do one more set. That's the most magical fucking shit in the world to me.
I mean, I know that it sounds so sappy and full of hyperbole, but I really do think I would not be where I am today without Surly. I mean, it's such a conducive environment to meet the other comics. I think that's the biggest part of it, because that is such a small room. So you as comics do spend most of your time talking to each other and getting to know each other. And I have a hard time getting to know people and talking to people. And I think for me, that is what made the difference about this open mic, that it was so conducive to actually having conversations with people and really talking for as long as you wanted to talk. And that's so, as a person that doesn't feel like I can connect easily with other people, that is what made the difference for me for this open mic. I just feel like I got to connect with people in a way that I normally don't.
A great start for a lot of people, and I don't worry, but I wonder where everyone's going to go from here.
Hey, what's up, Barrel on High? How we doing tonight? Awesome, I'm Sean Somerville, I'm the host of the show. Thank you very much for coming out to our very first show at Barrel. Give it up for Barrel for keeping comedy alive. And